Hello, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about the band Kraftwerk. Kraftwerk is a German electronic band. They are the first electro band formed in Dusseldorf, Germany, and the band widely considered as innovators and pioneers of electronic music, widely regarded as the godfathers of electronic pop music. If you don't know Kraftwerk Band, Kraftwerk is one of the most influential band in history that began as part of West Germany's experimental krautrock scene in the early 1970s, before fully embracing electronic instrumentation, including synthesizers, drum machines, and vocoders. Kraftwerk are a band who pretty much epitomize the description ahead of their time. But Kraftwerk's music literally sounds exactly like the music that everyone was going to be making and listening to 10 or 20 years later, but no one else was quite making at the time. The original band consisted of Ralf Hutter, the lead singer and organ player, which he's still the only original member in the band. The history began when he met Florian Schneider as students at the Robert Schumann Hochschule in Dusseldorf in the late 1960s. Participating in the German experimental music and art scene of the time, they joined a quintet known as Organization, which released one album, Tone Float, in 1969. The foundation for Kraftwerk's music was the sounds of everyday life, a concept first fully realized on the 22-minute title track called Autobahn album in 1974. Autobahn became a hit in Europe and the United States, where it was played on commercial radio stations in severely edited form. Series of lineup shifts followed, and at one point Hutter even left the group. However, by the release of 1972's Kraftwerk 2, he and Schneider were again working in tandem and working for their best ever. In 1975, Kraftwerk released album Radioactivity, a concept album exploring the theme of radio communication, indicative of the group's new global popularity. A concept album exploring the theme of radio communication, it was released in both German and English language editions, the latter appearing early the following year. Train travel emerged as the subject of 1977's Trans-Europe Express, which marked an increased movement towards seeming musical mechanization. After 1977, they transformed their image of the band from an experimental band into more of the robotic style, and they began. By this time, the members of Kraftwerk even publicly portrayed themselves as automatons, an image solidified by tracks like We Are the Robots having reached the peak of their influence. Recorded without a live drummer, the album's rhythms relied solely on a drum machine. Their best ever hit song is Das Model, released in 1978 in German language. The band later hired sound engineer Leonard Jackson from Detroit to work with Gisco Rudas on the final mix. After We Are the Robots album, the band did not release another album for 3 years until Computer World in 1981. After topping the British charts with the single Computer Love, Kraftwerk again vanished, enjoying a 5-year layoff culminating in the release of 1986 Electric Cafe. By now, however, modern pop music was dominated the Billboard, and Kraftwerk began to fade from the popularity. They remained silent during most of the decade. They finally released the Expo in 2000, and Kraftwerk celebrated the centennial anniversary of the Tour de France with a new version of their 1983 single Tour de France, and followed with a full album, Tour de France Soundtracks, in August 2003. The live record Minimum Maximum followed in 2005. In 2012, the band performed their studio albums From Autobahn to Tour de France at New York's Museum of Modern Art. The following year they repeated that performance in Dusseldorf and at the Tate Modern in London. Over the next few years they continued to tour, which culminated in them putting out the live release 3D The Catalog, and they're still touring to these days. The current members of Kraftwerk consists of a longtime member Ralf Hutter, Fritz Hilbert, Henning Schmitz and Falk Greifenhagen. On July 20, 2019, Kraftwerk headlined the Saturday night lineup for the Music and Science Festival Laval stage at Fluidot Festival. And then in 2019, Kraftwerk celebrated the 50th anniversary of the Apollo 11 moon landing and played their popular songs in their gig. Also this year marked as the 50th anniversary of the band, but the main question is we are uncertain on the future of the band, when they rarely making a new music and limited acts in live performance, and the lack of information from the band is making people wonder with their progress in music. So we're hoping for the band to dominate the music mainstream again with their power of robots, and they are one of the most influential band in history of electronic music.